Hello everyone, this is Maki. G-Clax is really heating up. Episode 7 is just around the corner. As I write this show, the 7th episode has not yet been released. I'm really looking forward to it. It's not just G-Clax getting attention though. Gundam GUNDAM is experiencing a bit of a revival too. The Ice Gundam has joined the Metal Build high-end figure series lineup. Interestingly, this Metal Build release wasn't just about launching a figure, it was promoted alongside a brand new official story. Since it's unclear if the story will be released in languages other than Japanese, I'd like to introduce it here. Seiji Mizushima, the director of Gundam 00, said it'll still be a while, but I'm planning to work on the continuation of Gundam 00's story. This story released with Metal Build may be an effort to maintain excitement until a new anime is released. Now, I'd like to share a quick announcement. My channel accepts support through memberships. For just 99 cents a month, you'll receive a name badge and comment stickers. Alright, let's dive into the story. The story takes place after the first season of the anime. In the Fallen Angel operation, the United Nations forces achieved victory by deploying the new mobile suit Jinx and defeat Celestial Being. The event that saw the nations of the world unite and destroy Celestial Being unfolded in accordance with Tieria Hamburg's plan. However, the newly unified world began to develop a distortion within itself. This distortion would later manifest as oppressive forces such as Onlos and Innobays, who enforced peace through repression and persecution. At this point, however, no one clearly understood the true nature of the distortion. The surviving members of Celestial Being worked hard to rebuild their strengths to fight against this growing distortion. Tieria Ardet, piloting the Gundam Astraea 2, carried out a mission to collect materials from secret bases scattered across the Earth. Celestial Being had lost so many people that even a Gundam Meister like Tieria had to secure supplies. While searching a hidden space base, Tieria discovered a GN arms. Although it hadn't yet been tuned for combat, finding a usable weapon like that was an incredible stroke of luck. Tieria connected the Astraea 2 with the GN arms and supplied it with power from the solar reactor. By combining the Gundam and the GN arms, he transformed it into the GN armor. While piloting the GN armor, Tieria scouted the surrounding area. However, far more supplies were missing than he had expected. He began to suspect that a hostile organization had discovered them, or that someone within Celestial Being had betrayed them and stolen the supplies. Suddenly, a beam was fired directly at the GN armor. Tieria dodged the beam. However, the attack wasn't an accurate sniper shot. He interpreted it as the enemy intentionally avoiding a direct hit. He then observed the enemy mobile suit. Although it resembled a Gundam-type unit, it wasn't listed in any of the data Tieria had access to. Still, its use of a pseudo-solar reactor led Tieria to conclude that it was an enemy unit. The enemy Gundam fired again. This time, the shot was aimed directly at him. Tieria dodged it, doing everything he could. The enemy Gundam seemed to be testing Tieria's skills. Although anger surged within him, Tieria reminded himself that his top priority was to retrieve the valuable supplies. He began to retreat in the GN armor. It was a gamble based on the possibility that the GN armor could outrun the enemy. Then, the enemy Gundam moved the binders on its back, over its shoulders. GN particles gathered at the front of the unit, and it fired a powerful beam, Its appearance closely resembled that of the Albaran, which was operated by the United Nations forces. Tieria evaded the beam. He narrowly escaped by taking full advantage of the GN armor's mobility. However, the beam's energy output was greater than anticipated, and the GN armor was damaged. The GN armor was heavily damaged, causing its speed to drop drastically. The enemy Gundam shifted the binders to the back, forming a wing-like configuration. Tieria guessed that this configuration was meant to enhance propulsion using the pseudo-solar reactor. Tieria separated from the GN arms. He was saddened that in close combat, the damaged GN armor would be no match. Immediately after he detached the GN arms, they exploded. It seemed the enemy had taken advantage of the enormous slowdown to destroy it without hesitation. The enemy Gundam appeared right in front of Astrea too. Its binders had moved to the size of its beam rifle. Tieria predicted that this was a form designed to increase the destructive power of its beam attacks. He carefully observed the muzzle of the enemy's beam rifle and started evasive maneuvers based on the predicted trajectory. However, the fired beam didn't travel in a straight line. It curved mid-flight and struck Astrea 2 directly. Tieria instantly realized that the hit had caused critical damage. Fortunately, the solar reactor remained intact. Given the impact, it wouldn't have been surprising if the entire unit had exploded. Despite being in a desperate situation, Tieria focused all his thoughts on survival. He believed that to rebuild celestial being and fight alongside his comrades, he had to survive first and foremost. Then unexpectedly, the enemy Gundam ceased its attack and left the area. Though he was suspicious of the enemy's behavior, Tieria was relieved to have survived. Regina sat inside the cockpit of the enemy Gundam. He was an innovation created using the same data as Tieria. Regina had once wanted to meet Tieria and speak with him. However, he was disappointed by Tieria's performance and left without saying a word. This Gundam's true identity was the Ice Gundam. It was a modified version of a Gundam originally developed for armed interventions that used Innobays instead of human Gundam Meisters. The Ice Gundam evolved from the Eye Gundam, a mobile suit designed specifically for Innobays, and was further enhanced. Regina had now set his plans into motion to realize the future he envisioned. And so, the story comes to a close. The metal-built Ice Gundam is priced at approximately $333. Note that the price may fluctuate depending on exchange rates. Pre-orders began in Japan on May 15. Shipping is scheduled for September 2025. This schedule may vary by country or region. What fate awaits the Ice Gundam, operated by Regina without Ribbon's approval? Incidentally, the name Eye Gundam comes from reading the number 1 as the letter I. Similarly, Ice Gundam is a play on reading the number 1.5 as a word. Will we someday see a Gundam assigned the number 2? If so, will it also be read as a letter? Could it even be Zeta Gundam? Of course, that's just a joke. Let's look forward to more excitement from the Gundam 00 series in the future. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. See you on the next show.